If I can help it, I try to be in the quarter-deck cafe at 10 o'clock in the morning to take advantage of the deal that is the £2.75 for a breakfast of scrambled egg and baked beans on 2 slices of generously thick white toast, which comes with a hot drink of one's choosing, inevitably a cappuccino despite the despairing lack of chocolate sprinkles. Though the underground of the student union in which the quarter-deck resides is typically peaceful before noon, save for the gaggling chuckles echoing from the kitchen, the early risers and a few members of staff also take advantage of the morning deal. If you're lucky, you'll get a chance at eavesdropping conversations that might appear like meaningless gossip, but on closer inspection are discussions of delight and comedy gold. I hadn't thought I would be devouring my sunburst yellow scrambled egg, to the view that if she puts it in any further, then I can only hope they'll push it back, to the quizzical expressions of the friend opposite, sipping tea from her spoon, as if she might catch visions within the murky waters, such as what you may or may not have seen, may or may not be true, or consult your GP about that cough you think you caught from Linda's cat last Thursday, and now believes herself mystically attuned to forces unseen. The nest of what I could only assume was a hat, perched precariously upon her head, gave it away. 3 hours and a laborious lecture later, I sat my skinny self in the garden of Dutton's Cafe. I'm not as addicted to cafes as it may seem. This moment, in fact, I am in my room typing this account, or rather, speaking it. Later I might toddle down the high street and eye out pasty parlours that position themselves perfectly on each street, but tear myself away from them, clenching my chest as if expecting an attack on my life for not purchasing at least a sausage roll, and maybe chased down by a mob of cheese and bacon turnovers with a taste for human flesh. Dutton's is a converted ammunition store, and from the garden is a vast view of Plymouth harbour and bay, the perfect place to gaze off into the distance and lose yourself in the tranquillity of it all. That is, unless a busker isn't nearby, hoping that the tune of Waltzing Matilda on bagpipes will be their artistic breakthrough, or rake in just enough for a few pints. I wouldn't mind, sparked up a man who spoke as though there were a cathedral in his mouth. If it was a happier instrument, then people wouldn't mind waltzing to it. Oh, I said, yes, indeed. Remember, dear listener, if you want to avoid a stranger's backstory, you need only walk away, though this was not the advice I took for myself at the time, realizing too late the error of my way. I used to waltz a lot, he continued, though I was curious to know how, for if he were any broader or in possession of larger feet, he'd be a danger on any dance floor, charging through an ensemble as if out to announce a manifesto. If you want my opinion, I didn't. Matilda was a horrible name for a waltz. He guffawed violently to himself and patted me on the shoulder as if intending to break it. I forced a laugh that was almost painful. I wanted to return to my gazing, but the wheezing of the pipes and the ominous figure of the waltzing Goliath was churning my stomach. "Colin!" came a shriek from behind us. Colin, I thought. Horrible name for a waltz. I found myself laughing at the stolen joke that I should have seen coming. "Colin!" The voice came from a young woman who I could only assume was the giant's daughter, though even the wisest of us can't always tell these days. Colin patted me once more and strode after the woman, as if on a mission to kidnap her to his cave carved for a mythical beast of his size. The beautiful view of the bay attracts a variety of people, some out to walk their dog and get some fresh air, children playing games on the green, and often students enjoying a break away from study or to avoid it entirely. Walking home, I am dwarfed as if under interrogation by the university's not so admirably named Roland Levinsky Building, which might be mistaken for a millennial take on the Ministry of Truth from Orwell's 1984, and so it is understandable why students and staff like to escape as often as they can to the greenery of the Hoe, lest they become indoctrinated by subliminal propaganda emanating from the architecture. Entering the ministry and scaling its steps requires a few essentials: a one-man pop-up tent, a thermos with a beverage of your choosing. I recommend taking two of these, one with a hot beverage for cold weather and another to keep you going throughout the journey. A pair of hiking boots with perfect grip for wet weather and icy surfaces. A harness with ropes strong enough to bind cattle, though for what purpose one would bind cattle I daren't consider, and a pair of carabinders to keep you secured to the rail. The mountain is treacherous and yeti-ridden, but your persistence will be greeted by a revolving door, which you'll be glad to know does not require identification or proof of vaccination before entering, at least only between sociable hours. After that, you must be a member of the Millennial Ministry of Truth, which you can join for a small fee of £9,000 per academic year. Unless there is an extraordinary event involving a woolly mammoth and garden shears, then this is the end of this week's episode. Though short, I guarantee a far more action-packed adventure in the future. Side note, however, I cannot make such commitments, but it's important to make it sound interesting for the audience anyhow. If you have any opinions about this series, please write them on a postcard to Land of Cares, P.O. Box, Return to Sender. Tune in next week for my exposé about the secret lives of academics, a tale of two coffee stains. And don't forget to book that appointment for that cough you picked up last Thursday. It might be serious.